Well, years ago when Ben was young, he had been prescribed services in Pennsylvania. Children who are disabled are prescribed services by doctors that are called behavioral health services. And living in southern Chester County, we had a very difficult time getting services. And I would call the department and I would call various agencies, and we just weren't going to get the services that had been prescribed by our doctor. Mm-hmm. So I started going to the county commissioners' meetings. They meet every week. Every week I would go to the county commissioners' meeting, and I would raise my hand during public speaking time, and I would say, children in southern Chester County who have disabilities are not getting the services that have been prescribed. And I would talk about we don't have any providers in southern Chester County, and that was back in the day when families in southern Chester County had to make long distance phone calls in order to call to get a service, and we still couldn't get it. So I went every week, week after week. More than a month passed, and I get a phone call from a girlfriend of mine who's an attorney, and advised some of the commissioners. And she said, Susan, the commissioners called and they said, do you know Susan Rzucidlo, and can you make her stop? And she said, yes. And no, I've never known Susan Rzucidlo to stop. So I went back every week. I'm back every week. I'm raising my hand. There's, you have time to speak, public speaking, and very polite. And children in southern Chester County are not getting the services that have been prescribed. And I get another phone call from my girlfriend, and she said, Susan, no, you need to understand. You are embarrassing the commissioners. You need to stop. And I said, no, I can't, because the children in southern Chester County are not getting the services that have been prescribed, and they should be embarrassed. So I'm still going. And this went on, and probably about 4 months into it, I get a phone call from someone who works in the county who said Ben's services would now start, which is great. And Ben's services started. His prescription was delivered, and it was great. And yet I kept going. And about 3 weeks after that, she called me back and she said, Susan, I don't understand why you're still going to the commissioners. I thought Ben's services were being fulfilled. I said, they are, but I'm not just there for Ben. I'm there for every child in southern Chester County whose services they're not getting. And so a few weeks after that, they assigned Gary Entrikin to me, who was at that time the interim director of mental health and intellectual disabilities. And we worked together, and they created an RFP, and I was there for the whole process. I went to every meeting as they developed, and they selected a provider, and they signed off. I was there, and they signed off on the RFP, and Holcomb was brought into Kennett Square, and it was wonderful. And Gary said, so what do you think? And I said, this is great, except by law we need to have choice. There need to be 2 providers in southern Chester County. And Gary said, can the ink dry, Susan? Can the ink dry? But we do. We have 2 providers in southern Chester County. Our services are better. But my goal has always been that everyone should receive the services that are required. And so that persistence has been, it started there, and it just continued over issue after issue.